Now I'm going to show you all the ingredients, glasswares and tools which is required to prepare clobazam suspension. So first of all, we are going to have 10 tablets of clobazam. One tablet is equivalent to 10 milligram and 10 tablets is equivalent to 100 milligram of clobazam. So we will be going to use these tablets and grind them, crush them, and we will prepare suspension from these tablets. The second ingredient which we have in our prescription is peppermint water. So this peppermint water is for flavoring agent and we are going to use it as 1 ml only. And then we are going to have glycerol 3 ml, which glycerol and glycerine is same thing. We are going to use glycerol 3 ml. And the fourth ingredient, which is syrup, we will be using this syrup 12.5 ml. And then this is the main ingredient of suspending agent, which is called compound powder of tragacanth. I calculated it 1 gram here in the weighing pan for our clobazam suspension. This compound powder of tragacanth is prepared by adding 15% of tragacanth, 20% of acacia, 20% of starch and 45% of sucrose. When you mix these 4 ingredients, you will get this compound. Final volume will be adjusted with freshly boiled and cooled purified water. So I have in the beaker, I have added this freshly boiled and cooled purified water in unknown volume because we don't know the exact volume how much we are going to need this, but it will surely be below 50 ml. And the tools which we are going to need is porcelain mortar and pestle. We are going to add suspending agent in this porcelain mortar and pestle, and first we are going to use glass mortar and pestle. This is glass mortar and pestle. We are going to crush the tablet in this glass mortar and pestle, with this glass mortar and pestle, and we are going to have glasswares of 50 ml of graduated cylinder so that we can put the final volume of this suspension in this graduated cylinder. And then we are going to need, for our last step, to transfer the graduated contents to a prescription bottle, which here in this case it is amber medical bottle, amber glass medical bottle. So we are going to add the final product here, and then we will be needing spatula for powders and also glass rods for mixing, and we are going to need analytical balance for weighing the powders. So by this, if we get these ingredients, we can easily prepare clobazam suspension. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So this is the demonstration for clobazam suspension. I am going to demonstrate and illustrate how to prepare clobazam suspension out of these clobazam tablets. So first of all, according to our prescription, we are going to need 10 tablets, which I have kept it ready, and then I am going to take a glass mortar and pestle, and I am going to transfer this 10 tablets of clobazam in this glass mortar, and I am going to grind and crush this tablet with this pestle. So I am going to grind it until it becomes a smooth powder, a fine powder. So as you can see, all the tablets have been crushed, and I am starting to grind them now. I am going to need this spatula to remove the powder from the walls of the glass mortar. So now it has become a smooth and fine powder. So now it's time to move on to the second step of our procedure. Yeah, some powder will be stick to the pestle also, so you can remove it with the help of the spatula. So now it's time for the second step, which is like take a porcelain mortar. So I'm going to take a porcelain mortar and I'm going to transfer the contents, which is nothing but clobazam tablets, crushed tablets, 10 tablets of clobazam, which are crushed and now in fine and smooth powder. So I'm going to transfer them to the porcelain mortar. So it's transferred now. So I will remove anything which is stick to the walls of the glass mortar. Now it's completely transferred. So now it's time for us to add the suspending agent. In clobazam suspension, we are using suspending agent of compound powder of tragacanth, so that this compound of powder of tragacanth will make the vehicle thick and viscous, so that the sedimentation rate will be decreased. So if I add all this suspending agent to the porcelain mortar, it will be wrong, because I have to add these 2 tablets with the geometric mixing technique or doubling up technique. So in that technique, first of all, we have to take the smallest volume of the powder. In this case, this we have 100 milligram of clobazam powder in our porcelain mortar, and we have 1 gram, which is equivalent to 1000 milligram of suspending agent in the weighing pan. So if I am going to use this geometric mixing technique, I have to add the same amount which is there in my porcelain mortar. In the porcelain mortar, I have only 100 milligram. So I am going to take 100 milligram from this weighing pan of suspending agent. I am not going to measure or calculate accurately. I am just randomly, by guessing, I am going to take this amount. So now it's time for me to add little amount of the suspending agent, and I am going to mix this. So now it is completely mixed, and in our porcelain mortar we have now 200 milligram of powder. So it's time to add more 200 milligram. So now I'm going to mix again. So we have 400 milligram of powder in our porcelain mortar, and if we are going to use geometric mixing technique or doubling up technique, we have to double the amount which is there in our mortar. So 400 milligram means we have to take more 400 milligram. I am not measuring the amount of suspending agent accurately. By random guess, I'm taking this amount. So now we have 800 milligram of powder in our porcelain mortar, but we don't have that much amount of suspending agent left. We have approximately 300 milligram of suspending agent left. So I'm going to take the remaining 300 now. So by this, I have used the geometric mixing technique, and this technique will help the powders to mix evenly and uniformly. So now it's time to mix the final. Remove any powder from the walls of the mortar. Or from the pestle. So now these two powders are mixed evenly and they have become fine powder, smooth powder. So it's time now to go to our next step. Now we should add glycerol 3 ml. This is glycerol. We are going to add glycerol. We can add all the glycerol at once, but it's better to add little amount, mix it, and then add the remaining amount. Now I'm adding all the remaining amount of glycerol. As you can see, glycerol is a very thick and viscous liquid, so we have to, the proper way to drain this type of liquid from the graduated cylinder, you have to wait for some time until the last drop falls, so that we will have all the 3 ml of glycerol in our mortar. So still you can see the drop is forming and it's falling down in the mortar. So it means that I have to wait for some more time, for a few seconds more. So whenever you are transferring any thick or viscous liquid like oil or like glycerol or syrup, you have to wait for some time. You have to overturn the graduated cylinder and wait for some time until the last drop falls into the mortar. Now I think this is the last drop which is going to fall. So by this I have added all the amount of glycerol, which is 3 ml. So now I am going to mix it to form a smooth paste. So this will give me a smooth paste like a semi-solid. I am hearing the clicking sound also. Because it has become like a gum, like a sticky substance. Now it's time to move on to add another ingredient, which is nothing but syrup. This syrup is 12.5 ml. So we have to add little amount of syrup so that this mortar contents will become pourable. Now as you can see, it is in a semi-solid form. We cannot pour it. Okay. So if I overturn the mortar, nothing will come out. So I have to make it pourable. I have to make it liquid. So now I will add little amount of syrup. First I will add maybe 2 ml, 3 ml of syrup, and now I am going to mix it. amount of syrup. Like I have added almost like 75-80%. So I will add little amount more. So now as you can see, I have added like almost 75 to 80% or more than that. Like I would say 90% of syrup, and then it has become pourable. Now it's time for me to move to another step, which is third step of our procedure. I have to take a graduated cylinder of 50 ml because our final product will be total 50 ml. So now I am going to transfer the contents of the mortar to the graduated cylinder. As you can see, it is now pourable. I can pour it easily. So after pouring, I have little amount of syrup left. So I will add that amount of syrup into the porcelain mortar so that I can wash it. As you can see, syrup will be a thick substance. So sometimes we have to overturn the graduated cylinder for a longer time so that all the amount of syrup will come out of the graduated cylinder. Now by this I have added all the graduated cylinder syrup into the porcelain mortar. Now I am going to wash this. As you can see, I have washed the porcelain mortar and I am adding the rinsing back to the graduated cylinder, the final graduated cylinder. Now it's time for me to add the peppermint water, which is 1 ml. Okay, now I'm going to add peppermint water into the graduated cylinder. Okay. Now I have to adjust the final volume to 50 ml with freshly boiled and cooled purified water. This is freshly boiled and cooled purified water. So instead of adding in the graduated cylinder, I am adding this freshly boiled and cooled purified water in the porcelain mortar so that I can wash the mortar more. So if there is anything left on the walls of the mortar, by this washing it will come out and I can add the rinsing back to the graduated cylinder. So basically I am adjusting the final volume with freshly boiled and cooled purified water, but instead of adding it in the graduated cylinder, I am adding it here so that this porcelain mortar will be washed thoroughly. Now as you can see, this mortar is washed completely. There is nothing left here. Now this cylinder has almost 40 ml, so I am going to adjust the final volume with freshly boiled and cooled purified water directly. I am going to keep this graduated cylinder at my eye level and I am going to adjust it. Yeah, this is now a little bit less than 50 ml and I am going to mix this with the help of a glass rod so that all the powders, glycerol, syrup, the flavoring agent, the final vehicle will be mixed properly. So after it is mixed with the glass rod, I am going to adjust the final volume to 50 ml. So now this is the final product. I am going to have amber glass bottle. I am wiping off the sticky syrup and glycerol from the preparation table. So this is the amber glass bottle. So I'm going to add the final product. I'm going to shake the graduated cylinder and then add it here. When you add all, before that I will shake more so that nothing is left here. All the suspension will be transferred. As you can see, this is our final product of Clobazam suspension, and it is ready to label now, and we can dispense it. Thank you very much.